Hello, Jeannie, and welcome. Thank you for joining me on Energy Talks. We are now in season three, episode two. It is a pleasure to have you here. What I like to do to start is to just have you introduce yourself and then tell us where you are located and then some of the modalities that you currently offer.
Okay. So my name is Jeannie and I am located in Ontario, Canada, specifically in Whitby. Some of the modalities I currently offer, well, I'm an osteopath, a manual osteopath, so that's a part of my practice.
Yeah.
But I also offer spinal energetics. I offer somatic alignment. I'm only one of two practitioners in Ontario that does it, and I'm the only master facilitator of somatic alignment in Canada. And oh my gosh, there's so much that I do. My focus in my osteopathy is on nervous system restoration. So that's the bulk of what it is I do. And I do other things. I'm also a nurse, so I give B12 shots and I do Botox for pain. But yeah, my real love is in the intuitive, energetic type of side of things. So that's it in a nutshell. If I went into everything I do, we would probably spend the entire time doing it. Those are the main guys.
Nice. Well, it's nice to hear that you have like a nice big bag of tools to reach in and grab from at any time. I'm sure that your clients like are very grateful to
Oh
be able to
yeah,
have kind of like an all-in-one person that they know that they can trust and rely on to help them with any of their needs. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, with all of these tools then that you have, what is it exactly that drew you into spinal energetics?
So I have a little bit of a story. So in my osteopathy practice, that was all I was doing, I was booked out 2 years in advance. And I'm like, man, okay, this is cool. It's great. Yeah, I'm booked out 2 years, but I'm like, I'm not really helping people if I'm booked out. If I see you today and I'm like, by the way, I can't see you in 2 years. So And I was getting a lot into the more you practice, the more at least for me, you start to move more intuitively. And it's not like, okay, well, you have back pain, I'm gonna mobilize your back, or let me do this fascial release on your neck. It's you just start to get this knowing of where you need to go in the body. And I'm like, yeah, there's an energetic aspect behind this. I'm like, I want to explore this more. And I was a Reiki master for years and that was great as well, but it wasn't serving me that like I felt like I needed for the osteopathy practice. So I was just thinking about it and I really didn't have any feelers on. And then this other girl started to work with me. She did Akashic records and stuff. And one day she came with this video and she goes, "Have you ever heard of spinal energetics?" And I'm like, "No, but it sounds interesting." And she showed me this video and I'm like, "We should go learn that." And she's like, "What? Are you for real?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I feel like that's needed. I feel like that could be a missing part. I don't know how I would incorporate it, but I definitely feel like it's calling me. So she's like, okay. She's like, I've been looking at it for months. So I said, well, let's apply. I mean, what's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna say no. So we looked around. There were no other spinal energetics practitioners in Ontario. I think there was one out in BC at the time. So I'm like, maybe they need practitioners out here. Who knows? And she goes, "Oh, what's the chances of both of us?" I'm like, it doesn't matter. One of us gets in, let's just do it. So we both applied and we both got in. And we went to LA and we came back and it's completely mind blown. There was a handful of people from Ontario, I think four or five of us, and we came back and um yeah, so goes the story of spinal energetics. So I just decided, you know what? People need to experience this. And this went along with the somatic alignment as well. I did that a little while later. And after I did both modalities, I came back and I was like, cancel all my patients. And my receptionist was like, "What the what?" I'm like, cancel everybody. And she goes, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I just want to this is how I want to practice." So I turned my practice into something called nervous system restoration osteopathy. And I said, all I want to do is spinal energetics, the somatic alignment, and the nervous system work. She's like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you have guaranteed patients? And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't align with me anymore, so do it. So she's like, okay. So she canceled everybody. And I sent out an email, hey guys, we're gonna open up the schedule for booking. I'm gonna tell my clients first before I advertise it online. We opened up the schedule, and no word of a lie. Within 3 hours, I was booked 6 months out. And I'm like, close the schedule. I'm like, close the schedule because I didn't want to be in the same place that I was before. So now I have that's where I'm at, and I have a wait list that has over 100 people on it that are waiting to be seen for spinal energetics and any of the other modalities, but people are becoming more and more knowledgeable about spinal energetics, and they
Hmm.
want to know, and they want to wait to see. And I always tell people, I say, there's other practitioners now. That was 2 years ago I did spinal energetics, but there's other practitioners, and I say, check out the other practitioners. You may find that you align better with them, but when people see somebody and they feel like, yeah, I connect with you, they just want to stay with you. So I'm so thankful for it, but at the same time, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm not getting to see you for like 6 months. This is insane, but it's such a I don't know. People are like it's a great problem to have, and I'm like, I don't want that to be a problem. But the work is just so powerful.
Yeah. Hearing your story, I think it's amazing. Your commitment to authenticity is to what you actually want to do and provide for your clients.
Hmm.
Um, and then also, it's shedding a light for me. I'm just growing in my practice and in my business. And so to hear that really resonates with me. It's like, as much as you want to be booked out and have this like long list of clients, is that really the best way to serve them, the people that
Yeah,
you're seeing on a day to day? So thank you for sharing that. It really shined a light on like, yes, it's a beautiful problem to have, but
yeah,
also how can you be more authentic to yourself, your service, and your clients. But that's amazing. I love hearing your unique experience that you have with your people, and to also hear the way that you speak about it. I'm already getting a real sense of like who you are, and I like it. I dig it.
thank
So
you.
what was that what was your first spinal energetic session like? What was that experience for you?
Oh my gosh. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna try this online thing. And I'm like, I really want to do in person because I'm a manual osteopath. I'm an in-person person. Like, there's nobody in Canada. I'm just okay, fine, I'll suck it up. So I did it online. And I didn't move at all on the table. And for me, I was neither here nor there. I knew I felt really relaxed. I did feel one thing, like I was lying on my stomach and I felt my stomach just kind of move to one side. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. But for the most part, I fell asleep. And the girl at the end, she's like, Jeannie, Jeannie, we're done. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay, thanks. And she's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel really tired. And she goes, that's completely normal. I said, I feel relaxed. And she's like, okay, good. So I was like, okay, well, that's the end of it. I feel relaxed. I'm like, this is cool. But then I woke up the next morning and the entire left side of my body was swollen. Like even my tongue was swollen.
Oh,
And I'm like, and I'm walking to work and I'm talking like this, and my leg is dragging behind me. And they're like, are you okay? I said, yeah. I more said, yeah, I think so. I think it's the effects of the spinal energetics. I've never had anything like this ever happen to me. Um, so I waited, a day, slowly but surely it felt like it was going to, and I'm like, huh. I said, this is probably something I should tell the practitioner, just so if it happens to anybody else. Like for me, I wasn't alarmed, but I could imagine somebody else waking up going, oh my God, what just happened? That person broke me. So I reached
yeah.
out to her and I said, hey, just so you know, these are the symptoms that I'm having afterwards. And she immediately messaged me back and she was like, are you okay? I'm gonna talk to Sarah Jane. And I said, no, you know what? I said, I'm okay. I said, I know it's very strange, but I know this is my integration. This is how I respond and how I react. So I'm very comfortable in knowing that this will eventually go away. She's like, no, I'm gonna reach out to Sarah Jane. So she reached out to Sarah Jane, and then they reached out to me again and they asked a couple questions, and I said, guys, honestly, this is how my
Yeah.
body's reacting. I know it. So I don't want you to be worried, but I just wanted you to know so in case somebody else ever has these sorts of physical effects, you can say, yeah, you know what? I did do spinal energetics with somebody else and they had something similar. Some people react physically, some people react emotionally. So I said it's just for you to have in your tool in your belt so that you can pull it out if you ever needed it. And that was my first experience.
I love your acceptance of that process. Yeah, but I could understand being a little concerned, especially just because I haven't experienced that with myself or my clients. So it's nice to know that they were ready and willing to like be there for you and to support you through it. Even though you were cool as a cucumber about it.
You know what I find though, Ken? I find that anytime I get a session and when I re I don't want to say react small, but when I don't have these big movements, those are the ones that impact me the most. And my symptoms always show up as physical, that as I've learned now. Sarah Jane was here in the summertime and she did a demo and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I sat up and I felt my heart opening and I was giggling like, like when a baby laughs, I was giggling like that.
Mhm.
And I was on the table and I'm like, oh, that was really different. And she's like, yeah, this might have a big reaction for you. It almost feels like you went back to a time when you were a baby. And I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. So I was helping when they came, they asked people to come in sometimes. So I was helping. I woke up the next morning and my mouth was full of mouth sores. I don't get mouth sores. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh. Yep, this is kind of a big deal. And I had just this massive headache. And I said, I feel like I don't know if you would know this reference, but the Michelin Man, the tire
Yeah.
guy, I'm like, I feel like him with a mouthful of mouth sores. And she's like, just stay home and rest, Jeannie. That's fine. And that took another 2 or 3 days to go away. But yeah, so those ones that aren't like massive movements for me, which is also wonderful, but those are the ones that usually impact me the most physically afterwards.
Okay. So you seem to have a big physical tendency, like you shift into like a physical response. What were some of the things that you noticed in your external reality after these sessions with your peers, coworkers, friends, family, partners? What were some of those shifts that you experienced in your life?
You know, I mean, I guess there were shifts there, but I also experienced shifts in like my physical environment. Like things looked clearer. It was like I always knew what the sun felt like on my skin, but it was like I was feeling it for the first time. I remember going out once and just being I'm like, oh man, the sun feels amazing. How have I never noticed this before? Or even the wind blowing on my face. I'd be walking my pup and the wind was blowing and I would just, I would just kind of stop and here he comes. Sorry. He's like,
He
you
said,
talking about me?
"You're talking about me."
And I would feel the wind and it would just, I would just have to stop. It was like nature was stopping me and making me pay attention in the most beautiful way. It was like a movie, when somebody gets the wind blowing through their hair and they're just like, I felt that, like I felt that. With regards to my relationships, Papa, with people, I think I grew more tolerant.
Yeah.
I grew um I grew to be kinder in the way I listened, and not jumping to conclusions and not trying to step in and say something. I was more open to listening, more patient to listen is what I should say, if that makes any sense.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
definitely. Uh, that seems to be a repeating theme with a lot of people of just like giving themselves more space
Yeah.
to be able to listen. What is it? Listening to hear rather than listening to speak
Yeah,
seems to come up a
absolutely.
lot. Yeah. So, what then, especially for you, because you were having all these big kind of physical reactions that could keep some people from wanting to like return to it? What
Hmm.
was it about spinal energetics that just kept you coming back for more?
The way I felt, it's the space that I felt inside, the the lightness, the just feeling like this as opposed to it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I feel more like this. Yeah. That feels good. It just feels good. And those physical things come up for a reason, we're here to when you go into spinal energetics, you go in with some sort of knowledge that you're working on something internally. And there is some knowledge that it is going to manifest in some way after. When you release something like that you've been holding on to for that long, there is an expectation that something is going to happen, whether you're emotional the next day, you're angry for a couple days after, or something comes up. So yeah, it could be discouraging, but if you want to move forward in your life in a different way, you need to be able to accept that you will respond in a different way as well. You have to get out of the ordinary and be okay with the uncomfortable things that come with it, because it's just a hump. It's not, I don't see things as good or bad. I just see them as different energies. So it's just a different energy. It's just a different type of energy that's coming up. And we need to be able to learn how to navigate this scale of energies that we have, because we always thought everybody's happy and don't cry and don't be angry, but no, we have this range. So if we can learn to navigate the range, then that's what we're here for. Like that's how we can live. I use this analogy of a tree, the branches grow up into the sky and out into the sunlight, and the roots grow down into the darkness and the soil, but they both need nourishment from both sides. Like the sun nourishes the leaves, and the trees and the branches grow from up there. And then in the dark, the roots are getting nourishment from the soil. So the tree isn't like, well, I don't like the roots because it's growing in the dark, and I like the branches because it's up in the light. It's like, no, I need you both. Otherwise, I can't grow. I can't be strong. So, like, we're the exact same way. That's my thought process.
I like it, and I can see your passion. Your passion's clear about like embracing both aspects of the journey. Like you can't have the light without the dark, and so you have to learn how to work and appreciate both ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Yeah, we're not all love and light. We got to
That's
have
right.
we got to dip into the darkness sometimes. So,
Yeah.
then Jeannie, this is my favorite question to ask everyone, but if you were to describe spinal energetics with just one word, what would it be?
Gosh, woman. Uh, the first word, like, and I'm sure you've heard this word before, but the first word that came to my mind when you said it was magic. And I know it's such a woo-woo word, but it's really it's this magic. It's this thing that's evolved and grown, and the only way you could explain it is as magic, because at least I never knew it existed. And to experience something like that, it is magic. It's real magic. It's magic that we have at our fingertips.
Yeah. No, I love your gesture with it too, because it's like this precious gift that we've been given that we're able to share and to pass along to others. Um, and I think you're the first person to only choose the word magic. so so you've got claim on that one.
Got my
Nice.
one word. Oh, I
Yeah.
was the first person that said magic.
So other people have said like magical, but it was also like a follow up to their initial statement.
I
So you're the
gotcha.
first one who cherry picked it.
It's the first thing that popped into my mind. And I was like, no, what's another way I could describe it? And I'm like, no, that's what popped into your mind. That is what you should say.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to your mind is usually the right answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So, Jeannie, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me to share your beautiful experience with spinal energetics, and I think that a lot of people will take um, what you've had to say to heart, and especially when it comes to like the physical reactions and responses that you had. I think people will appreciate hearing about that, and knowing that if they kind of have different physical things, symptoms that kind of pop up, that it is their own unique experience with spinal, and that their body is precious and perfect just the way that it is, but it has a different way to release, to unravel, and unwind what it is that it's holding on to. So just to sign off, I'd like if you could share, maybe you have an Instagram handle or a website, something to leave people with if they want to seek you out or to learn more about you and your offerings.
Absolutely. Before I do that, I would just like to say thank you so very much for the opportunity to come on here and share. I forget how passionate I am about it until I start talking about it. So, thank you.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
So my contact information, my Instagram. and or Facebook, if anybody's still into that, is at OsteoGenie, OsteoGenie. My website is www.osteogenie.ca. So that's OsteoGenie.ca. And that's it.
That's such a cute and perfect handle for you, Jeannie. And especially going with the magic. Like, I love that. You're a little nervous system genie, is what I'm getting.
You.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you soon and following your journey.
Me too. I look forward to speaking with you again.